Well, good morning, everybody. Didn't think I was going to make it today. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. I wasn't sure what they were going to do. It just checked my lungs out a little bit, said they're okay. Of course, I still can't breathe, but that's beside the point. That's got to do with the pollution and everything else that's on around. We're probably one of the most polluted places I've ever been in my entire life. And they know the air quality sucks down here, but there's not much they can do about it. And, they pray for the certain wind to come and blow it someplace else. That's basically what this is all about. Anyhow, moving along. I don't know what to talk about. The big issue, which I covered a little bit yesterday, was mm, pardon me, I'm still trying to fuel me up. It was about the shooting that happened on over the weekend, and let me tell you, it's not it's bad. It was a bad thing. There's been a lot of attempts on politicians and whatnot, but that's the politicians go around threatening people using all kinds of threats and very questionable rhetoric and whatnot, so that's what they can expect. Um, he was stopped in plenty of time. Unfortunately, one of the officers that stopped him was shot, but wasn't hurt. Well, I shouldn't say wasn't hurt. I don't know the extent of it. Probably some bruised ribs and stuff. That's what usually happens when you hit a bulletproof vest. But anyhow, he's okay. And Trump got out of there in time. And Trump claims now that he was walking out, he was on the floor, and he claims they told him to get down. He tripped. Sorry. Okay. Quasimodo tripped or fainted, one of the two. I'd like to see fainted, but he tripped. He's a little annoyed at the fact that they grabbed J.D. Vance first, but the deal is, it was like one guy with Vance, and it was like six guys with Trump. Everybody went to cover the president. Nobody cares about J.D. J.D. should understand that by now. He's like not a well-liked individual, so nobody gives a shit what happens to him. I don't. Do you? These two guys have built up enough bad karma that you want to be. If you could, I would suggest getting off the planet, because it's going to be really, really out of control when he goes, to where he's going. And Trump couldn't help himself that night, saying that the security would have been better, this would have happened at my new ballroom is going to be spectacular. The basic difference between his new ballroom in the place where this event took place is, one, it's inside the White House grounds, and two, which makes it doubly hard to get into. It should, anyhow. There's should be at least 3 major checkpoints in a situation like that. But could be wrong. But the deal is that it won't happen. That's because of that. That's got nothing to do with nothing. The ballroom itself is not the reason why it's going to get stopped. It's the people that are involved over there will be just as good as the people who were involved over here. You cannot stop a maniac, okay? You cannot. It's been proven in combat. You cannot stop a suicide bomber from getting into where he wants to get into, okay? That you just can't do it. These people are too strung out, whatever. They're too indoctrinated, and it's what the Secret Service tells you, and everybody else will tell you. The hardest. They started saying this back when McVeigh went after the FBI building. They say, the hardest type of tactics to repel is a lone wolf, because there's no planning involved. There's no leakage of information. He just does what he wants to do when he does it. And that's very, very, very difficult to defend against. There's no, you want to get into the prediction markets and you want to bet on it, that's where you want to bet, because it's it's really almost impossible to predict what an individual is going to do and when he's going to do it. Uh, Organizations and countries and whatnot that assassinate people want a lot more information than there's out there, might be out there now, because they're more security conscious now about putting out information like that. What time is the caravan going to arrive? If you've got 1,000 mini drones that you can drop on the caravan, that's not one story. But those vehicles are pretty well armored, and it's going to take a lot, especially the president. The president's limo is more or less a tank, assuming he's in it. Okay, and it's got all kinds of special shields that they can throw up around him and everything else, in case there's an inevitable bombing or something like that. There's all kinds of. You just have to be willing to sacrifice yourselves. That's all. And that's not. Trust me, sacrificing yourselves for Trump is not sacrificing yourself for the good of the country. Okay, it's rather stupid, I think. But excuse me. That stuff's rocket fuel this morning. But that's how it works. You have to. Security is it's a lot of things, but a lot of it, even the electronic stuff, you have to be looking at the screen when the thing happens. All right, otherwise you just see a flicker. Like if somebody cuts into the screen to put another picture up, a false picture up, you're only going to see a slight flicker. And as soon as you see that, you should hit the alarm button. But people don't. They say, "Oh, it's all right, it's fixed," because they don't want to create a problem. Okay? And they don't want that flicker to be a problem. And it gets. The more you get involved in this stuff, the more difficult it is to understand, to see it. The human element is the element that's probably, in most cases, it's the human element that actually does the saving or preventing these events from happening, not the technology, okay? It's always going to be the human element because you're up against the human element. Drones are a different story, and they're supposedly pretty well protected against aircraft and drones and stuff like that. So you don't worry about that, There are massive plans of attack on the White House that you can institute. You can see them in the movies. You can see them in a lot of places. Will they work? I don't know, because I'm not sure of all the technological things that are involved there. But I do believe that they would create some serious hell. But to sit there and say that one building is safer than another, the building's got nothing to do with it. It's the equipment that's there and the agents that are there that have something to do with it. I mean, yes, all right, so there can be more than one entrance. The entrance might be off. But the Secret Service knows that. If there's a problem with the entranceway or something like that, they know that. And they've got it covered, all right? The fact that this was in a hotel, and for years they hadn't had a problem, that's something else to be considered. I'm pretty sure that Trump wouldn't have approved anything that would have kept people from getting to that hotel or delayed them getting into that hotel. So, he doesn't want to be annoyed, And this was purely, to say that he was going after Trump, you'd have to say, when did he make the reservation? Because the fact that in the hotel, for his room in the hotel, because he wasn't supposed to be there, and he just announced it, less than a week ago, that he was going to attend this thing. And if that guy could pull that off in a week, get a room and everything else in a week, then there's something going on that shouldn't be going on. Then you got to look into this more deeply, okay? Other than that, this is just a wild card event, and unfortunately, like they said after Oklahoma City, it's very little you can do about the wild cards, Terrorism groups are easy to follow because they leave a trail. The wild card doesn't leave a trail. You know, you know, if he's a white American, you know, homegrown terrorist, those kinds of situations are the hardest to defend against. With a straight up American name like O'Leary or something like that, that's very, very, and he looks the part. You know, he's not his skin color is not off when he is pale, and he looks like an O'Leary. There's a lot, you know. Sure, you could stop him once he gets to the gate, but getting to the gate, he'd probably have no problem. And if he has any kind of documentation to get him through the gate, there's nothing you can do about it, okay? It's very, very difficult without creating serious problems. And Trump doesn't want this to be a serious problem, you know what I'm saying? So that's what he does. But his statements that, you know, my building's going to be safer. No, it's not. Its location is already safer to a certain degree. So you know, don't even consider that being a reality. All right. Okay. So Trump is pissed off about something this CBS correspondent paper, all the attempted assassins manifesto. She started to read parts of it on 60 Minutes, and Trump got all kinds of bent out of shape about that. Calls her a disgrace. Let me tell you something. The only disgraceful thing about that event was Trump trying to sell it at the end of it, when he was talking about what happened and everything. I was trying to hawk his friggin' white elephant conference center or whatever it is he's building there. You know, he's a disgrace. He's a disgrace to the world, never mind just the United States. And to sit there and call somebody who's simply doing her job and what should have been done, and supplying the world with information so that they can digest it. It wasn't classified material. It wasn't secret material. Trump is you got Hexit that's giving secrets away with his wife on the phone, and he's still in office. So please, you know, Trump's, you know, bragging about the stuff he shouldn't be bragging about, that technically isn't for public consumption at that time that he says it. That's his problem, you know. Because he wants people there, because he wants the adoration, he wants people to see him and cheer him and, you know, pretend to kiss his ass and everything. You know, this is Donald Trump, folks. I'm sorry. That's you know, doesn't work that way. But that young lady is not a disgrace. She was simply doing her job of reporting information that was applicable to the day's events. Fuck. Now, if you're watching Europe, okay, which I don't watch, not Europa, Europe, you're seeing that there's an uptick in defense spending over there that they haven't seen in something like 16, 17 years. In some countries longer than that. This isn't NATO, this is Europe that's doing the spending. And the countries in Europe. And what that is an indication that everybody's preparing for a worst-case scenario. As far as I can tell, nobody's going out and buying offensive weaponry. They're buying defensive weaponry, defensive technology and whatnot, you know. And that's because everybody's preparing for war because of Trump. Because the longer the Straits of Hamas go on, the more possibility of other battles breaking out in other places, you know. We're still not sure what Trump's going to do about Venezuela. We're still not sure what Trump is going to do about Cuba, and if China and Russia are going to let him do it. You know, because if he goes after Cuba and takes Cuba, China will back away, but then China will go after Taiwan. And there's nothing Trump can do about that, you know? Really, there really isn't anything he can do. So once again, I've come to the end of another day. Thank you for listening, my friends. And I will see you. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Am I all right tomorrow? No, I will be late tomorrow because that's the reappointment that I had last week that didn't happen for Lucy is tomorrow now. So, you know, I'll be here, but I don't know when. Maybe I'll try to get it done before I leave. All right, we'll see what happens. But that's usually too early for everybody. So it's basically going to be too early or too late tomorrow, but it will be there. Okay, so hit that subscribe button, please. I just need the morale booster of seeing a couple of more people subscribing to my to my to my videos. Okay, everybody take care. Have a great day. I will see you mañana.